Okay, so after the unboxing of the various Phase 3 stuff, I thought I'd show you how you assemble at least the XXL ones, the Oni and Kuro. This is going to be the big one to start with, Kuro. I think it's probably the biggest one they've ever done. And it comes in 23 separate pieces. We've laid them all out in their numerical order here on the table, so 1 to 6 and then 13. Sorry, 1 to 6 and then 7 to 13, 7 to 12. Oh, numbers are bad today. Anyway, there you go, that's all the pieces laid out in order. We snip them out, file them down, they're all ready to go. There's my assembly instructions over here. So let's just quickly go through and let's put it together. I do deviate from their plan at one point, and I will show you when we get to that, and I'll tell you why. The other thing to note is if you're going to do this, there's only one area you need to be careful of, and that is parts numbers 18, 19 and 20, which is 18, 19 and 20, and that's because they look the same. They are 3 of Kuro's fingers that all look very, very similar. They're not quite interchangeable. So you need to make, when you're doing this, be careful, make sure you get those in the right order. What I did was I did everything else first, did those 3 last, then put them on the table. So I've got them in the right order. But yeah, we're going any further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing you do is you actually construct the skull. So I'll just have a look. There's the assembly instructions. You can see you use skull to rib cage, and then start putting bits on the rib cage, and then rib cage to base. But yeah, so let's go with the skull first, which is these 3 pieces all go together. Now I'll just fold them up, as you can see, like that. There's these 2 interlocking bits that go into there, and then the front of the face itself, and I find the right, there we go. Exploded in my hand. But anyway, yes, you can see how it's going to fit together. The usual sort of circles into slots there, and then the face the right way around. You can see there is square shaped cutouts there with some square shaped pegs here, like that. And there you go, that's your head. So that's what we're going to do first. Get our old plastic cement ready. The left and right side of the skull together, like that. And we'll just get ready to put the front of the skull on. Yeah, if you haven't seen any of these before, I'd heartily recommend getting plastic cement for this rather than sort of conventional sort of super glue. This is the right kind of plastic to use plastic cement on, and it is both quicker setting and a stronger, tighter bond. Just go on the top there of the skull as well. Because yeah, for those of you who don't know what the plastic cement or plastic glue does, unlike super glue, this is actually starting to ever so slightly melt the plastic. So when you push them together, they basically melt together and then reset together. Which also means you can kind of fill in some gaps with it if you want. Anyway, there we go. That's the head done. So that's the sort of 2 halves pushed together for the back, and then front of the skull pushed together on the front. The next bit is take the jawbone and attach it there. You'll see there is some dimples which it goes into, and then there's your jawbone. But it's going to be the first area where I sort of go off the assembly instruction guide. I'm not going to put the jawbone on just now. The reason why I'm going to do that is I'm going to leave that until pretty much everything else is assembled and put it on last. Because if you do that, you can actually then sort of see the model in its full composition and decide for yourself whether you want to have, say, closed, or how much of an opening sort of jaw, if you can see that, how much of an opening jaw you want on your Kuro. Now, if you do it last, you can see it in place with all the other models. or put other parts of the model. If you do it now, it's just guesswork, and you're basically going to have to go by what the box or whatever says. But if you don't put it on now, there's no reason to put it on now. There's nothing else that's going to be glued onto it or all around this that's going to stop you. So, sort of diversion number one from the assembly guide, I'm going to leave the jawbone till a bit later. So I'm going to leave the jawbone for now. There's the rest of the skull. The next bit you do is the rib cage pieces, and then attach the skull to them. So, two rib cage pieces, there's only really one way to do it. They just sort of fit in together like that. They've got little tabs and holes they fit into, and then you're going to have a full sort of rib cage. So we're just going to glue that. So again, one of the benefits of using plastic cement or plastic glue is by the time I've done this, the skull is going to be fixed, solid enough to work with. Hopefully anyway. Oh yeah, it goes without saying, of course, it is a type of adhesive that is designed for plastic. Don't try it on resin, it won't work. I've used it on all plastic models for Shadows of Brimstone, but I've had to use conventional super glue for the resin ones. And boy, are some of them fiddly and take a long time to stick and get glued in the right place. But there we go, we're just going to hold those together for a moment so they all seal up tight, so that you won't see gaps. Sorry, I can't see my fingers there, so you won't see the gaps in the rib cage where the join is. So we're just pressing them together and holding for a moment. Okay, and then as I say, we put the head on the tops of the head, like that's got a hole it fits through, and it'll fit on there. And you should find when you do that, although there's no, it's not a solid, if I go, see, it's not solid, it is just a hole, and this is just a square end to the rib cage. You should find though when it goes in, oops, there we go, when it goes in like that, it's there's only actually, it doesn't really move about, it doesn't go any further, and it doesn't really slide too much from the position it's supposed to be in. So we'll just quickly get this ready for gluing. I mean, I suppose if you wanted to, you could perhaps file down certain parts of this connection to get the head going on at a different angle. But honestly, why bother? It looks perfectly good as it is. And it's not as if you're ever going to get, well, I say this very hopefully as a player, but it's not as if you're ever going to get two Oda Kuros on the table at once. Okay, let's get that ready to glue. So in it goes, hold it in the right place, and we'll just hold it there a few moments. So the next one that comes up, which is sort of instruction number 3 on their sheet, is another one where I'm going to differ slightly from their order. Okay, so we'll just hold this in this hand while it sets. So you describe the next bit. So the next bit is to be putting together the left hand. So we get various bits of that. We get the, I don't know what the bone's called, but the bone that runs here, the hand, and then one of the fingers, little finger on the left hand, and glue them all together. What I'm not going to do though is I'm not actually going to glue this sort of a femur section to the hand. And again, the reason is because if you do it now, you're having to sort of guess the right angle, because it's quite a bit of a different angle you can attach the wrist to the arm. You're having to guess now. If you do it now, you can't really see it in composition with the rest of the model. Whereas again, there's no reason not to just do that at the end when you've got everything else ready. You've even got it on the base, then you can get the best, whatever is going to be, because the Yoda Kuro's arm, there's that arm, that's the arm that's coming forward to sort of grab or put the weight down as it crawls its way forward. So yeah, if you wait till the end, you can get whatever is going to be the best angle. So if you get it wrong, you'd either end up trying to jam its fingers into the table edge and you get a very odd angled model, or it's going to end up pointing upwards rather sillily. So yeah, so I'm going to leave that till later. Okay, that's good enough for the moment. But I will put the finger on. So it goes to the hand, it's over here, and then this little finger. If you look, it's got a shaped. Turn it around, you can see maybe better. This is shaped. A little key in it, so it will only go all the way around. It'll only fit in like that. So it fits absolutely perfectly in to the hand. So yeah, there's no need to worry about getting that at an odd angle or one that looks a bit strange. So we may as well just do that right now. Right, come on. So I think I might be coming to the end of this this bottle. It's taking a while to come out. There we go. Put the hand in. That. Okay, that's probably going to be good enough. I'll just leave it to set there for a moment. Right, and then we're going to go back to the main bit. We're now going to put in the various sort of the top bit of the arm, whatever this bit's called. Yeah. I'm trying to think, is it the femur or leg? I don't know. Should have paid attention when I did biology at school. I don't know what these bones are called. But yeah, we're now going to put the sort of shoulder with the shoulder plate and the top part of the arms onto the main sort of rib cage bit on either side we've got here. So this one, number 7, goes here. You'll see there it is. On the cage, there you can see these little tiny bumps. Let's try and show you. There's tiny bumps there. They fit into the slots here on that one, and also there's a tiny little notch at this end which fits into the spine here. So if you look at it, it fits in. Right, there you go, like that. And there is only one sort of orientation, so there's nothing to worry about there too much. So we'll just put that in place. Yeah, and I wouldn't worry too much about the size of the model. It might look quite large, but this is actually fairly lightweight plastic. So you're not actually putting all that much weight on each individual seam and joint. Even if, like sort of most apes, it's got a massive head bobbling around on the top of the neck. Okay, so that one is there, just slides into place. Just hold it there for a few moments, let it set, and then we're going to do the same. We're going to take the other shoulder blade in a moment. We're going to put it on that side when this is set for a while. Just looking at the back, make sure it looks okay from there. Yep, seems to be okay. And if I let go now, it's already set enough. I can sort of show you how it's. Can you see that? How it's glued in across there. Okay. Still wiggling a bit because whilst it's melting the plastic, it's not set again yet. But anyway, yeah, I think it's enough for the point of expediency. I'll get on and do the other set of shoulders. So again, there's just only the one notch this time on that rib. So that's going to go there. But on this time, unlike the previous time, the front, if I put it in, if I get it right, there we go. And lock it, there you go. Can you see there? This joint here. If I just edge it out again. Yeah. There we go. There is a slight indentation there for where you're going to attach it. So it actually attaches there. The other side, not quite so much. But this one quite firmly locks in on there. Right. All of that being said, I suppose there's no harm in putting a bit of glue down there on the other side. There we go. Right, so just get some glue there. There. I'll just hold that a few moments and you'll see we've got the right arm, upper arm into its shoulder position. There we go, you can see it from the front. Okay, and I'm just going to put that down to leave it to set for a moment. Now what you would do at this point, if you follow the instructions precisely, is you put a little bit of cloth at the front there. And the only reason I'm not doing it is for the sake of expediency, because I'd ideally want to wait longer until all that's set and then do it. But what I can do whilst I'm waiting for that is do some work on the hand that is the right hand, which is coming back behind it to hold onto the rock. And this is the one that's got the 3 fingers that you need to glue on. And you basically also build, because there's 2 bones in this part of the arm, this part of the arm, which you can't see, which you need to glue together on this hand. But it's also another one where I'm going to leave the actual gluing of the wrist till a bit later. And the reason for that is you're going to have this rock on the base. You're going to build a rock and put it on the base, which is sort of got its arm behind it, grabbing onto it, pull itself forward. And you need to align that. You need to get the grip on it correct. And the point that's going to be flexible is the wrist joint. You can't change how the rock goes into the base, and you can't change how the sort of rib cage and head of Kuro goes into the base. So the bit where you've got the most freedom is the wrist bend here as it grabs it. So that's the bit I want to glue last, because that's the bit, if I need to, I can put some movement or give in various different directions. So yeah, you probably see that's a bit of a theme with this model, and it comes out in any of the other models you see me put together, where there's there's like a 3-point or 4-point or 5-point, whatever, all coming together. Do the one with the most degree of freedom last, because effectively that's where you've got freedom to make allowances. So yeah, what we're going to do is, on the other arm though, we're going to take these bits here, these 2 bones, bring them up together, there you go, 2 bones. There is a notch on the larger one there, if you can see it, if I rotate it around maybe, see it, there's a notch there. And then there's an indentation in this one, so they get glued together like that there, and they form that part of the arm. That's the, gotta get this right, that's the lower bit where the wrist is going to go, and that's the top bit which goes into, this is the elbow. So we'll just glue them together. Okay, just hold them together for a moment, then just let the glue do its work. So we're going to leave them a bit separate, then we're going to do this hand. And so this is the hand that's got the 3 fingers missing. If we can see, if we bring that closer, you can see there's 3 sort of stubs here, which don't have the sort of pointy talon bits at the end the others do. And those are the 3 that all look a bit similar. So those are the 3 we're going to put on now. I need to make sure I get this the right way around. So this one is 18, and 18 is the furthest right. If you hold it, hand up this way, that way up, sorry, that way up, it's the furthest that way. So it goes 18, 19, 20, around that way, 18, 19, 20, around that way, 18, 19, 20, 18, 19, 20. Right, which I suppose if you look at it that way up is going left to right, but yeah, as you read. But anyway, yeah, so let's do 18 first. There we go. Once you get it on, you'll find that in the correct sort of fingers down talon orientation, there's a little bit of wiggle room to go left or right, but not a lot. And it should see sort of curve. Show you curve in into the bottom of the hand like that. And that's because it's gripping the rock, and the rock is sort of square section. So 19 next. Yeah, and of course the problem, as I was saying, the warning on this one is if you get this wrong, this hand, because it's gripping the rock, if you get it wrong, you will not be able to grip that rock correctly. So there we go. Get that in. This is also one of the advantages of plastic glue over traditional sort of super glue, is that the melting, which makes the plastic sort of sticky and tacky, happens very quickly. The actually setting in place, you've got a fair bit more time. So if we get this wrong, we can actually still break these apart and move them around a bit and stick them back together again. You can't really do that with super glue once it's set. So it's either sort of liquid nonsense, which doesn't really stick things together, or it's set, in which case you just got to break it. Right, that's the hand done. So we'll just flip back to this for a moment. Put this sort of tattered cloth bit. It's got a tab in it there, if you can see just above my finger, which goes into a slot. There's a square section slot on the sternum. So it's going to go in, get it the right way up, it's going to go in like that. And it only really fits in one way, and then it goes flush to the bones. And then you're going to have this sort of tattered cloth here. We'll just do that. Even just letting gravity do its work on that one for a moment. Okay, and then we've got some more tattered cloth that we're going to do. So let's have a look at number 9, which is this one, or the longer ones, the ones you've got left. This one goes, get it right. You see again on the, should you see there, just beneath my finger, there's a tab on the upper arm. There's a slot here at one end of the rope, so it's going to go in like that and blow in the wind in the same sort of direction as the other piece of cloth was. If it's blowing in the wrong, if you end up trying to get it to blow some other way, then you know you've positioned it wrong. So yeah, it's going to go in there. So let's just glue that. This one I'm going to hold for a bit, just because it's not resting on anything. This one you can let gravity do its job, the breastplate sternum one. This one's sort of freestanding from the ribs, so I'm just going to hold it for a moment until it gets sticky enough on its own. There we go. And then the next bit of tattered is a smaller one, like this, which goes on sort of the other end of this, the right hand one, if that makes sense. So it should go, just looking for the tab, yeah. Okay, there you go, can you see there, it's a smaller tab, but it's on the back of the upper arm there, into the slot. Oops, show you doing it. There you go, there on this end, so it's going to go in like that. You're not even going to be able to see it from the front. It's just going to be there. So we'll do that. Okay, there we go. Right, so I'll put that aside for a moment. We're now going to start doing the base. So the first thing to do is take the two sections that make the rock. If you look, they've got a sort of square tab and socket, which go together like that, and then you've got your sort of, it's not quite square section, but it's nearly square section outcropping of rock. So let's do that. Just like that. And then we're going to glue that onto the base. Which, if you look at the base, there is only really sort of one area it can go, which is in here, and then that's where the spine is going to go, and those are the two attachment points to the base. So we'll just smear some of the glue. Yeah. And again, things to remember is it should be coming out of the base, as it were, not coming into the base. It should be coming out of the base. But there's only really one way it will go in and fit in snugly, just like that. Okay. Leave that. Just. So never quite happy with positioning, so that'll do, leave it like that. So if you followed the instructions to the letter, this jaw would already be on there, on the skull. and these two hands would already be attached to these two arms. And what you'd do now is you would glue the Kuro to the base like that, and then make sure you then glue the two arms in. Obviously we've got a little bit more left out ourselves at the moment, and that's just to give ourselves freedom if we need it. So yeah, the next thing is Kuro's main sort of rib cage and body like this onto the base. It should be slightly in like that, and it should be slightly leaning forward. That's the sort of position. So I get my hand out there. So that's the sort of position you want to get it in. Not too far forward, not too much leaning to either side, but yeah, like that. And I don't think it will go in any other way than that really, but make sure that the rocky outcropping here that you're going to put your right hand on is on its right hand side, otherwise that would be rather embarrassing. So I'm just holding it in place until the glue melts it and then starts to set again. And whilst we're doing this, I'll talk about what I'm going to do next. What I'm going to do next is the hand, this hand, which is grabbing the rock. It's got a tab on the palm of it there. So if you can see that, if I try and rotate it, there's no easy way to view, but there's a tab in the palm. Maybe you'll see it there, you can see it now. Anyway, that fits into a slot on the rock. So next thing I'm going to do is put the hand in there. Hopefully I can leave a Kuro like that for a moment whilst I just put some glue here on the tab. To avoid the tattered rag. There it goes. Gone in the right, yeah, that's gone in. There we go. And there we go. So we can now see, if I bring this up to the camera, we can see Kuro himself glued into the base, but also we've now got this hand grasping the rock. And again, it'll only really go in one way. There's not much play or movement in there once it's in. You can see that that finger is just running around the top of the edge there. So the next bit to do is this bone that goes in here, and as I say, I left this till now rather than doing it to the hand, because now we've got flexibility here and here as it goes in, and we can use the wrist joint, whereas there's no flexibility on that sort of grip on the rock really. Okay. So let's do that. Let's make sure we get the right one. It is the one, this one, which hasn't got any cloth on it, and it's going to go in there where you've got a tab on one of the bones. If you can see, there's a tab on one of the bones, and it's just a ball joint on the other, and at the other end we've effectively got what cleaved in half there, the ball joint that is the elbow, and it's the front part, so it's going to go like that against the sort of cleaved in half back end of this one. And then when they go together, it should, if we've got things mostly right, fit together nicely like that. And at this point, you've probably still, if you're anything like me, you've still got a little bit of movement in the main Kuro body, which is going into the base, which can help you align it in, because it's still only tacky rather than actually set the plastic yet. Again, if you've done this with super glue, it would be a bit more difficult perhaps at this juncture. But yeah, so we're just going to glue that in like that, make sure everything lines up nicely. Just want to spin it around all the various angles to make sure we've got it in the right place. And then we're just going to bring it over here so you can see, but I'm just going to hold it like that. Now we've got everything lined up. Okay. So it's not moving when I let go, so that should now dry. And now you can see why one of the things I was talking about, why I want to leave some bits till the end. So like that bit with his right arm, getting it into the right sort of place here. Wanted to get that right, and the flexibility down here on the wrist if needed be, or maybe up here. There's natural flexibility in the model, as well as the joints. And also for now, if I spin it around, hopefully not going to dislodge it too, and tilt it up, you can see why I left this arm, the wrist off, because we're going to glue this arm on next, and this one sort of goes in. Get it right, which way it is. So it's that way up into there, like that, and that's fairly set by the tab you've got up here. There's not much play on that end, but I want to get it right so that when this hand comes forward here, it's at the right angle. Okay. So there you go, that's going to go on like that there. You can see that? Where the tab on this goes into the slot on the back of this. There we go. As I say, there's pretty much no movement on that when that's in, so you don't have any flexibility there. That's gone in like that, and we'll now glue. We're nearly there, so there's two more to go. Here's our Kuro. I'll do the jaw next, so I don't interfere with that. Now, as I say, if I flip it upside down, so we're looking at there is quite a bit of variability. You could have it all the way sort of clenched shut. Oops, that's good. I've dropped it now. Typical. There we go. You could have it where it fits in the little ball and socket. So you could have it all the way clenched shut, or you can start to open it out a bit. But one of the things you'll now see is it will, if I can try and get it will not open in this position as far as it could do at the start. And that's because all this sort of breastbone sternum bit down here is stopping the bottom of the jaw from opening that far. So if you'd have gone all in on a massive wide open jaw at the start, you would now find that you can't actually, you wouldn't be able to glue the head on at that point if you'd have done that. So that's why I tend to do it like this until you've got some clear visibility of what you're dealing with. So yeah, we'll just do this head bit next. As I say, there's like a proper sort of socket on either side. I don't know if you can see there, there's one socket there, so it's in a bit shaded. There's a socket there, and you've got little ball joints on either side of the jaw. So we'll just glue those. We'll just hold it with the thumb in place. Yeah, we're just holding it, waiting for it to get ready to glue. Of course, the problem with this particular glue, as I'm now holding it, this particular gluing section, is there's nothing to support it anywhere else, and it is really a free swinging sort of socket. So this one I actually do have to hold for a while before I do that. The next one, which is going to be the last. And equally, unlike super glue, I don't know if people know, but super glue basically hardens when it gets moist. Water causes cyanoacrylates to harden. This kind of glue, no, nothing like that. You see, there's no point blowing on it. It's not going to help it. It's just going to do its thing. Whilst we wait, yeah, there's that. There we go. That's enough now that I can let go. So now I can look at this. I'm deciding, and here's the last one that's going to go on this last hand. It's got if I bring it up, you can see it's basically got two ball sockets in there, the big one and the small one, which are the two bones on the end. So I can now decide exactly what angle I want to put that hand. You'll find when you do this, compared to some of the joints, you've got a bit more play on this to angle it how you want. But yeah, once you're ready, just glue it on. And again, because it's a join with a bit more freedom, I'm actually having to hold it a little bit more in place a little bit longer to stop it moving. But it's kind of staying there on its own now, so we'll leave it like that. Right, so there you go, and that's it. That was all 23 bits, all glued together. That's your Oda Kuro. Now I'm going to gingerly hold this up to the camera. It should have enough tackiness on it to keep everything together for the moment. There we go. There is the Oda Kuro. And but for a model as big as it is, I wouldn't say it was terribly difficult. It didn't take too long. There you go. There's your Oda Kuro. Although of course I'm now paranoid about dropping it as I try and show it to you. But there you go. There's Oda Kuro. I think it's not as tall as, say, Belial or the Dragon, but it's still pretty big. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that jaw, but I'll leave it like that for now. Wrist seems okay. There you go, one Oda Kuro successfully put together. The next one we'll have a look at will be the Oni Warlord.